Hello, night traveler. This is Lunas, your dream teller for magical nights. Wrap yourself in your blanket and let your imagination flow freely as we venture into the enchanted paths of magical and fantastic tales. Tonight, we'll journey with Bridget, a young woman seeking direction, guided by the enigmatic elf Aelil in Hourglass. Magical encounters with fairies, battles against dark forces, and the quest for ancient Celtic traditions mark this journey. Will Bridget manage to unite the community and keep the ancient magic alive? Ready to dream? At the bustling train station of Hourglass, a vibrant and ancient city, the modern and the mystical blend together. Hourglass, whose name means high green field, is famous for its stunning landscapes and rich Celtic heritage. Among the hurried comings and goings of passengers, a peculiar figure stands out, an elf named Aelil. His presence is subtle but unmistakable to those who have eyes to see beyond the ordinary. Dressed in clothes that blend contemporary fashion with traditional elements like bronze brooches and intricately worked leather belts, Aelil guides the lost and forlorn, whispering advice that echoes ancient wisdom. Hourglass is a city where the past and present coexist harmoniously. Its streets are paved with ancient stones, and the buildings range from modern structures to centuries-old cottages. The sound of bagpipes and harps often echoes through the streets, mingling with the noise of cars and the hurried conversations of travelers. On the hills surrounding the city, the ruins of ancient castles tell tales of epic battles and forbidden loves, while sacred groves guard long-forgotten secrets. Aelil, the elf of the train station, is a mysterious and fascinating figure. No one knows exactly where he came from or how long he's been there, but everyone recognizes his calming presence. With bright green eyes and an enigmatic smile, he seems to have the gift of soothing the troubled hearts of travelers who cross his path. Some say he is a guardian of the ancient Celtic traditions, while others believe he is a benevolent spirit sent to help those in need. The day begins like any other in Hourglass, with the sun slowly rising over the hills, bathing the city in a soft golden light. At the train station, the movement is constant. People hurry with their luggage, check schedules, and exchange farewells and welcomes. Among them, a young woman named Bridget stands out. With wavy brown hair and piercing blue eyes, she looks a bit lost, glancing around as if searching for something or someone. Bridget has just arrived in Hourglass from a small village in the Irish countryside. She is seeking purpose, a direction for her life. Recently, she lost her parents and feels adrift, unsure of which path to take. She decided to come to the big city in search of answers, hoping that a change of scenery might bring some clarity. Upon noticing Aelil's figure, Bridget feels a strange sense of familiarity and comfort. It's as if she knows him from somewhere, perhaps from a dream or a distant memory. Aelil, in turn, immediately notices Bridget's presence and approaches her with a welcoming smile. "Can I help you?" he asks, in a soft and melodious voice. Bridget hesitates for a moment, but something in Aelil's eyes makes her feel safe enough to trust him. I'm a bit lost," she admits. "I just arrived and I'm not sure where to start." Aelil nods understandingly. "Sometimes, the most important journey is the one where we seek ourselves," he says enigmatically. "Come, I'll show you a special place." As they walk together through the station and out into the bustling streets of Hourglass, Aelil begins to talk about the city and its ancient traditions. He describes the Celtic festivals that are still celebrated, like Samhain and Beltane, and talks about the ancient druids who once walked these lands. Bridget listens intently, fascinated by the stories that seem to bring a touch of magic to her monotonous life. They pass by shops selling local crafts, cozy pubs where Celtic music plays non-stop, and squares where statues of ancient heroes guard the memory of legendary deeds. Aelil explains that Hourglass is a place where time seems to flow differently, where the past and present intertwine in a unique way. "This place is full of magic," he says. "But it's not the kind of magic you find in fairy tales. It's a subtler magic, woven into everyday life, in the little things. In people's smiles, in the sound of music, in the touch of the breeze coming from the hills." Bridget feels increasingly connected to the city and its stories. She feels that somehow, art glass might be the place where she will find the answers she seeks. And alongside Alo, the mysterious elf of the train station, she begins to realize that her journey is just beginning. Bridget was born and raised in a small village called Knock-Naw-See, which means Hill of the Fairies. The village is surrounded by green fields and ancient forests, a place where Celtic traditions are still kept alive. Her parents, both teachers, always encouraged her love for history and mythology. They took her to explore ancient ruins and taught her about the rituals and legends that were part of Ireland's rich cultural tapestry. After the sudden death of her parents in a car accident, Bridget found herself alone and directionless. The family home, once a place of laughter and love, became a painful reminder of everything she had lost. She decided to leave Knock-Naw-See and seek a new beginning in art glass, hoping to find purpose and heal her broken heart. Alo, on the other hand, is a being of mystery. Some believe he is an ancient elf who chose to live among humans to protect their traditions and help those in need. He possesses deep knowledge of Celtic history and magic and seems to have a special connection with nature and the spiritual world. Alo rarely speaks about his past, preferring to focus on the present and future. His work at the train station is a perfect disguise for his activities as a guardian and guide. He watches the people passing by, identifying those who need help or guidance. With his calm and comforting presence, Alo is able to soothe troubled hearts and offer words of wisdom that seem to resonate deeply with those who hear them. As Alo and Bridget walk through the streets of art glass, the young woman begins to feel an increasing connection with the elf. He speaks about the importance of following one's heart and trusting one's intuition, teachings that her parents also valued. Bridget feels inspired and determined to find her own path, but she knows there is still much to discover. Throughout the day, Alo takes Bridget to several significant places in the city. They visit an ancient sacred tree where druids once performed rituals to honor the gods and seek protection. Alo explains that the tree is a symbol of life and renewal, a reminder that even in the toughest times, there is always hope and the possibility of growth. Next, they go to a hill where the ruins of an ancient castle stand against the sky. Alo tells the story of the castle and the heroes who fought bravely to protect their land and people. Bridget feels touched by the stories of courage and sacrifice and begins to realize that her own journey can be a way to honor her parents' memory and continue their legacy. As the sun begins to set, Alo takes Bridget to a small cafe that serves traditional tea and cakes. They sit at a table near the window, and the elf orders a special herbal tea known for its calming and healing properties. Bridget takes a sip and feels a wave of comfort and peace. "The journey you are starting won't be easy," says Alo, looking deeply into Bridget's eyes. "But remember, you are not alone. Magic is all around you, and the answers you seek are closer than you imagine." Bridget feels a warmth in her heart, a spark of hope she hadn't felt in a long time. With Alo's guidance and the magic of art glass, she is ready to face the challenges ahead and discover her true purpose. And so, the first day of her new life comes to an end, marking the beginning of a magical and transformative adventure. The dawn in art glass brings a new energy to Bridget. The sunlight floods her room, painting the walls with golden hues and filling the air with the promise of new beginnings. After a quick breakfast, she decides to follow Alo's advice and explore the city with a fresh perspective. She feels she is about to discover something important, something that could change the course of her life. Alo appears at the train station as usual, but today he seems more radiant. It appears he is also eager to start the journey alongside Bridget. "Today is a special day," he says, with a sparkle in his eyes. "We will explore the hidden places of art glass, those that few know about but that hold great secrets and ancient powers." With a nod, Bridget follows Alo through the city's streets. They walk through narrow alleys and pass through wrought iron gates that creak as they open. Soon, they arrive at a hidden garden, a refuge of tranquility in the middle of the bustling city. The garden is full of flowers of all colors, and a stone fountain in the center emits a relaxing sound of running water. "This garden is a place of power," explains Alo. "The ancient druids used this space to meditate and connect with nature. It's a good place to start your quest. Bridget feels a deep peace as she enters the garden. She sits near the fountain, closing her eyes and listening to the sound of the water. Ailil sits beside her, in silence, allowing her to connect with the environment. After a few minutes of meditation, Bridget feels a mental clarity she hasn't experienced in a long time. The first step of your journey is to understand yourself, says Ailil softly. You need to discover what you truly desire and what your real dreams are. Bridget reflects on these words. She has always had a deep love for history and mythology, influenced by her parents. Perhaps her purpose is related to this, to preserving and sharing the stories they valued so much. With this new determination, she stands up and smiles at Ailil. I'm ready, she says. Ailil smiles back and guides Bridget out of the garden, leading her to a new destination. They walk to a hill where an ancient stone tower rises against the blue sky. This is Luf's tower, explains Ailil. Luf was one of the most important gods in Celtic mythology, known for his wisdom and skills in various arts. Here, you may find inspiration and perhaps some answers. Climbing the hill, Bridget feels the mystical energy of the place. The tower is impressive, with its walls covered in moss and ivy, and a sense of antiquity that seems to breathe history. As she enters the tower, she feels a welcoming and powerful presence. Inside the tower, there is a small library with ancient books and manuscripts. Bridget runs her fingers over the shelves, amazed by the collection. Ailil watches with a smile, knowing she is in the right place. These books contain the knowledge of the ancients, he says. Read them, study them, and you will find the answers you seek. Bridget spends hours in the library, immersed in the texts. She reads about Celtic heroes, gods and goddesses, and ancient rituals. Each page seems to illuminate her path a little more, giving her a clearer vision of her purpose. She feels a deep connection to her Celtic roots and a responsibility to keep this heritage alive. As the sun begins to set, Ailil suggests they return to the city. There's a place I want to show you, he says. A place where dreams come true. Curious, Bridget follows Ailil to a small nearby lake. The water is so clear that it reflects the sky like a mirror. Ailil kneels by the lake and murmurs some words in an ancient Celtic language. The water begins to glow softly, and a mystical mist rises from the surface. This is the Lake of Dreams, explains Ailil. It is said that those who drink its pure water will have visions of their future. Bridget leans down and takes a sip of the crystal clear water. Immediately, a feeling of warmth and peace envelopes her. She closes her eyes and is transported to a world of visions. She sees herself walking down an ancient path, surrounded by tall trees and wildflowers. At the end of the path, there is a small cabin where she finds a group of children, all listening intently as she tells ancient stories. Opening her eyes, Bridget smiles. She understands now that her purpose is to be a guardian of stories, to share the magic and wisdom of Celtic legends with future generations. With this new understanding, she looks at Ailil, who watches her with an approving gaze. You have found your path, he says. But the journey is just beginning. The next day, Bridget wakes up with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. She prepares to start working on her new mission of preserving and sharing Celtic legends. However, as with any journey, challenges soon arise. As she walks through the city, Bridget realizes it won't be easy to earn the trust and attention of the people. Many are busy with their own lives and problems and don't seem interested in hearing old stories. She tries to approach some locals but encounters resistance and indifference. In a cafe, she meets Sean, a young journalist who works for the local newspaper. He seems interested in her mission and agrees to write an article about her journey and the importance of Celtic traditions. However, the next day, the article is published with several inaccuracies and distortions, making Bridget a target of jokes and criticism. Feeling discouraged, Bridget meets with Ailil for advice. Don't give up, he says. Every journey has its challenges, and it is through them that you become stronger. Determined to continue, Bridget decides to organize a small event in the central square of Artglass, where she will tell some of the most fascinating legends she learned in Luffus Tower Library. She spends days planning and promoting the event, hopeful that she will attract people's attention. On the day of the event, an unexpected storm hits the city, forcing Bridget to cancel her presentation. Discouraged, she takes refuge in a local pub, where she meets some of the locals who had promised to attend. They console her and share stories of their own struggles and triumphs, giving her new strength. Aelil, who had been watching from afar, approaches and offers words of encouragement. Sometimes, obstacles are just opportunities in disguise, he says. Keep trying. The magic is all around you, even in the hardest moments. With this new perspective, Bridget decides not to be discouraged. She reschedules the event for the following week, this time in a covered location. Gradually, she begins to gain the support of the locals, who become more open and interested in her stories. Bridget's growing success with her events in the city starts to attract everyone's attention, including figures she never imagined meeting. One night, after an especially successful presentation on Celtic legends, Aelil invites her for a walk. Tonight, I'm going to introduce you to some special friends, he says with a mysterious smile. Curious and a little anxious, Bridget follows Aelil through the quiet streets of Artglass. They walk to a forest on the outskirts of the city, where the full moon illuminates the path with its silvery light. The air is cold, but there is a palpable sense of magic in the atmosphere. Aelil leads Bridget along a winding path until they reach a clearing lit by tiny floating lights. These are the fairies of Artglass, Aelil introduces, with an elegant gesture. They are guardians of nature and holders of ancient secrets. The fairies, small and ethereal, start to approach Bridget. Their shimmering wings and bright eyes emanate a welcoming and powerful energy. A fairy named Island, with golden wings and a luminous aura, steps forward and speaks to Bridget. It's an honor to meet you, Bridget, Island says softly. We know of your mission and want to help you. Bridget, amazed by the presence of the fairies, feels a wave of gratitude. How can you help me? She asks. Island smiles and, with a graceful gesture, gives Bridget a small amulet made of intertwined leaves and precious stones. This amulet holds ancient magic, Island explains. It will protect and guide you on your journey. Bridget holds the amulet and feels a warm and comforting energy emanating from it. Thank you, she says sincerely. I promise to use this gift wisely. The night unfolds with the fairies sharing stories and knowledge with Bridget. They talk about medicinal plants, ancient rituals, and songs with the power to heal and protect. Aelil watches, satisfied, as Bridget absorbs every word, strengthening her connection to Celtic magic. The fairies also explain that the city of Artglass is situated at a convergence point of ley lines, places where the Earth's energy is strongest. This is why the city has such a rich history and great potential for magic. They teach Bridget how to use this energy in her events, channeling the Earth's power to make her stories even more vivid and impactful. Island reveals that there is a special tree in the forest, known as the Tree of Knowledge, which can answer questions and provide wisdom to those who are worthy. The tree is protected by ancient enchantments, and only those with pure hearts can approach it. Go to the Tree of Knowledge when you need guidance, Island says. It will help you in times of doubt. As the night comes to an end, Bridget bids farewell to the fairies with a heart full of hope and renewed determination. She knows that with their help, her mission will become even more powerful. Returning to the city with Aelil, she feels a deep connection to the land and the ancient traditions she is determined to preserve. With the magical amulet around her neck, Bridget feels stronger and more determined than ever. However, her next challenge arises from an unexpected source. On a cold morning, she receives a threatening anonymous letter telling her to abandon her mission or face severe consequences. Frightened, Bridget shows the letter to Aelil, who reads it with a serious expression. There are forces that do not want the ancient traditions to be revived, he says. But we cannot let fear stop us. You need to show courage now more than ever. Determined not to give in to threats, Bridget organizes a large event in the central square of Ardglass, inviting all the residents for a night of stories and celebration of Celtic traditions. The entire city seems to be present, and Bridget feels a mix of nervousness and excitement. During the event, a group of dark individuals appears, trying to cause confusion and disrupt the celebration. Bridget, with the support of Ailil and the residents, faces the troublemakers firmly. She recites an ancient Celtic blessing, invoking the protection of the gods and the strength of her ancestors. The energy in the air changes, and the dark individuals are forced to retreat, defeated by Bridget's courage and determination. The crowd applauds, and Bridget feels a wave of pride and accomplishment. She has proven to herself and the city that she is capable of facing any challenge. Ailil smiles at her with a look of approval and respect. "You showed great courage today," he says. "Your journey is just beginning, but you have already achieved so much." In the following days, Bridget continues to face challenges, but each obstacle overcome strengthens her determination. She realizes that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to move forward despite it. With the fairies' amulet and the community's support, Bridget feels more connected than ever to her Celtic roots. She begins to explore new ways to share Celtic traditions, including workshops on crafts, music, and dance. The residents of Ardglass become increasingly involved, and the city transforms into a center for cultural preservation and celebration. However, the threats do not cease. On a particularly challenging day, Bridget finds her home vandalized, with threatening symbols painted on the walls. She feels fear growing but remembers Ailil's and the fairies' words. Determined not to give in, Bridget goes to the Tree of Knowledge to seek guidance. In the clearing where the tree stands majestically, Bridget kneels and places her hands on its rough trunk. She closes her eyes and feels the pulsing energy of the tree. A soft and ancient voice whispers in her mind, offering wisdom and advice. "True courage lies in persisting even when the path is difficult," the voice says. "Trust in your inner strength and the alliances you have formed. You are not alone." Revitalized by the tree's words, Bridget returns to Ardglass with renewed determination. She organizes a community meeting to discuss the threats and involve the residents in defending Celtic traditions. The response is overwhelmingly positive, with many volunteering to help and protect her mission. Bridget's growing success with her events in the city starts to attract everyone's attention, including figures she never imagined meeting. One morning, while preparing for another event in the central square, she is approached by Siobhan, a local schoolteacher. Siobhan, a middle-aged woman with expressive eyes and a warm smile, expresses her interest in incorporating Celtic traditions into the school curriculum. "Your stories are inspiring, Bridget," says Siobhan. "I'd like to help teach these traditions to our children. They are the future of Ardglass, and it's important that they know and value their roots." Bridget feels a wave of enthusiasm. "It would be an honor," she replies. "The children are the future, and it's essential they know and value their roots." With Siobhan's help, Bridget starts organizing classes and workshops for the children, teaching them about Celtic legends, history, and the magic that permeates their daily lives. The classes become an instant success, with the children showing great interest and curiosity. They start telling the stories at home, involving their families and strengthening the sense of community in Ardglass. Meanwhile, Bridget continues to hold her events in the city, always with the support of Ailil and the fairies. She realizes that her mission is growing beyond her initial expectations and feels a deep satisfaction seeing the positive impact of her work. One day, while in the library of Luffa's Tower, Bridget finds an old manuscript that mentions an ancient circle of druids that might still exist deep in the forests around Ardglass. Intrigued, she decides to investigate further and sets off on a new adventure, determined to find these druids and learn from them. The journey through the forest is challenging, but Bridget is determined. With Ayla by her side, she follows clues and ancient symbols that lead them deeper into the woods. Finally, after days of walking, they reach a hidden clearing where they find the druids, led by a wise man named Cormac. Cormac and the Druids welcome Bridget and Ayla with hospitality, impressed by the young woman's determination. They share ancient knowledge and teach rituals that can help Bridget strengthen her connection with nature and Celtic magic. During her time with the Druids, Bridget undergoes a deep transformation, gaining new skills and a broader understanding of her mission. The Druids teach Bridget about the Earth's energies and how to channel them to protect and strengthen her community. They show her how to use plants and herbs to create potions and amulets and share stories of their ancestors who fought to preserve these traditions. The search for the ancient circle of Druids takes Bridget on a journey through the dense and mysterious forests of Ardglass. With Ayla by her side, she faces difficult terrains and natural challenges. Finally, after days of walking, they reach a hidden clearing where they find the Druids, led by a wise man named Cormac. Cormac and the Druids welcome Bridget and Ayla with hospitality, impressed by the young woman's determination. They share ancient knowledge and teach rituals that can help Bridget strengthen her connection with nature and Celtic magic. During her time with the Druids, Bridget undergoes a deep transformation, gaining new skills and a broader understanding of her mission. However, the peace is interrupted when the dark individuals who tried to sabotage the previous event appear again, determined to destroy the Circle of Druids and end Bridget's mission. An intense battle unfolds in the forest clearing, with Bridget, Ayla, and the Druids fighting against the invaders. At the height of the battle, Bridget invokes the power of the amulet Island gave her. A bright light emanates from the amulet, disorienting the enemies and giving strength to the defenders. With this advantage, they manage to defeat the invaders and protect the Circle of Druids. The battle, though intense, reinforces Bridget's determination in her mission. She realizes that she is not only fighting for the preservation of Celtic traditions, but also for the protection of a rich cultural heritage vital to Ardglass's identity. With the victory, Bridget and the Druids perform a Thanksgiving ritual, invoking the gods' protection and celebrating the strength of the united community. They plant new trees in the clearing, symbolizing rebirth and the continuity of Celtic traditions. Bridget feels a deep connection with the land and her ancestors, knowing that her work is part of something much larger. Returning to Ardglass, Bridget and Ayla are greeted with celebrations. The entire city gathers to thank and honor those who fought to protect their traditions. Bridget is seen as a heroine, and her mission gains new momentum with the community's renewed support. After the intense battle, Bridget feels a deep sense of peace and accomplishment. She returns to Ardglass with Ayla, bringing with her the new knowledge and skills acquired from the Druids. The city welcomes her as a heroine, and Bridget finally feels at home. However, Bridget's journey is far from over. She now has the responsibility to continue preserving and sharing Celtic traditions, and she feels a renewed energy to do so. In the weeks that follow, Bridget becomes deeply involved in community life. She organizes new events, workshops, and celebrations that integrate Celtic traditions into the daily lives of Ardglass residents. The classes for children continue to be a great success, and she sees the sparkle of interest and curiosity in the young eyes, knowing that she is planting seeds that will bloom in the future. One afternoon, while preparing a presentation on the Samhain festival, Bridget receives an unexpected visit from Siobhan, the local school teacher. "Bridget," says Siobhan, "I wanted to share something with you." She hands Bridget an old notebook filled with notes and drawings. "This notebook belonged to my grandmother. She was a great scholar of Celtic traditions and wrote down many secrets and stories that are not known by many." Bridget carefully flips through the notebook, amazed by the wealth of information. "This is incredible, Siobhan. Thank you so much for sharing this with me. Let's make sure your grandmother's knowledge is preserved and passed on." With the help of Siobhan's notebook, Bridget begins to incorporate new elements into her events. She revives ancient rituals and celebrations, bringing a new dimension of authenticity and depth to her presentations. The Ardglass community responds enthusiastically, and Bridget feels she is truly making a difference. One night, while contemplating the stars on a hilltop, Bridget reflects on her journey. She thinks of her parents and how much they meant to her. "I hope they are proud of me," she murmurs, feeling a comforting presence around her. Ayla, who had been silently beside her, finally speaks. They are Bridget. And they are not the only ones. You have brought new life to art class traditions and connected the community in a way that few could have. Your work is just beginning, but you have already achieved so much. Bridget smiles, feeling warmed by Ailil's words. Thank you, Ailil. I couldn't have done this without you and everyone who helped me along the way. With winter approaching, Bridget decides to organize a grandiose celebration, a festival that marks the winter solstice and the return of light. She works tirelessly to plan the event, involving the entire community in its preparation. The children help make decorations, the adults contribute food and drinks, and everyone eagerly awaits the night of the celebration. On the night of Yule, the central square of Artglass is filled with lights and laughter. There is a large bonfire in the center where everyone gathers to tell stories, sing songs, and celebrate the community's unity. Bridget, dressed in a traditional Celtic cloak, approaches the bonfire and begins to tell the story of the birth of the sun god and the hope he brings for the darker days. As she tells the story, Bridget feels a deep connection with everyone present. She sees in the faces around her the same passion and love for the traditions that drive her. And then, something magical happens. The bonfire flames glow intensely and seem to dance to the rhythm of Bridget's words as if the ancient gods are present, blessing the celebration. The Artglass community participates enthusiastically, each adding their own voice and energy to the celebration. Children run around, laughing and playing, while adults share stories of their own experiences and memories. It's a moment of pure joy and connection that further strengthens the community's bonds. In the days following the Yule celebration, Bridget reflects on the impact of her work. She realizes that she has not only preserved Celtic traditions but also created a space where everyone feels included and valued. Ailil, always by her side, watches with pride as Bridget continues to inspire and guide the community. "You've done it, Bridget," says Ailil on a cold winter morning as they walk through the snow-covered forest. "You've turned Artglass into a place where the magic of Celtic traditions lives and thrives. And this is just the beginning." Bridget looks at Ailil and smiles. "Yes, we did it," she corrects. "This is just the beginning. There's still much to do, many stories to be told, and many lives to be touched. I'm ready to continue." With the support of Ailil, Siobhan, the fairies, and the druids, Bridget knows she can face any challenge ahead. Her journey has transformed her from a lost young woman into a confident and dedicated leader, and she is determined to keep spreading the magic and wisdom of Celtic legends. And so, the story of Bridget, the guardian of stories, becomes a legend itself, inspiring future generations to follow their hearts and preserve their roots. The city of Artglass, now a beacon of tradition and magic, flourishes under Bridget's leadership. The children who learn from her grow up, carrying the stories and lessons into their own lives, ensuring that the Celtic heritage continues to thrive. With every story told and every tradition preserved, Bridget sees the lasting impact of her work, knowing she has helped keep the flame of Celtic culture alive for future generations. Good night and enchanted dreams.